A very good morning to all of you, Class 6. Welcome back to the English class. In today's English 2 class, we will continue with the lesson Direct and Indirect Speech. In today's class, our learning outcome would be to recall the definition of direct indirect speech and grasp the rules for changing direct speech into indirect speech. So this would be the main learning outcome. We will learn to change direct speech into indirect speech. But before we do that, let us quickly recall the definition of direct and indirect speech. Direct speech, this is the actual words used by the speaker. When we report, now we can report a speech in two ways, in a direct or indirect speech. When you report the words of the speaker as it is without making any change, we call it a direct speech. Now look at this example. In this, she said, I have passed the examination. In this sentence, you will see here we have a comma, and then this is called, what do we call this? We call this a reporting verb. Said is a reporting verb, okay? And there is a comma after the reporting verb. And the speech of the speaker, this is the reporting speech, okay? This is the reporting speech inside the inverted comma, and we see there's two inverted commas are here, and then it ends with a full stop, and the first letter after the beginning of inverted comma, we always use a capital letter. Now let us look at the next sentence, the indirect speech. Indirect speech gives an account of something that someone has said without quoting the actual words. Here, she said that she had passed the examination. The same sentence we are reporting in indirect speech. Now you will say she, it is the subject, and she said, this is the reporting verb, and we have removed the comma, and the comma is replaced by that conjunction, that she had, has become had, passed the examination. We have removed the inverted commas. Okay, so this is a difference. Now in the last video, I have explained the definition with example very clearly. So please, if you still have any doubt, you can ask me, or you can go back to the previous video to understand the definition. Today we will discuss the rules for changing direct speech into indirect speech. If the reporting verb is in present or future tense, the tense of the reported speech does not change. Example, she says she will work hard. This is a direct speech. And this, what it say is the reporting verb. Reporting verb, I told you, this is the reporting verb. If it is in a present or future tense, then in indirect speech, it will not change. The reporting verb will remain the same. Okay. Then the remaining changes, that will be, if we open the inverted commas, that will take place in indirect speech. If the reporting verb is in past tense, that means here it is says, which is in present tense. But if it is in a past tense, the tense of the reported speech is also changed into the past. The tense of the reported speech. Remember the sentence inside the bracket is a reported speech. Here, he said Prakash needs a new cook. He said that. Now a verb is all in the past tense, so it has changed. And then the tense, this is the tense inside the reporting speech. It will become, he said that Prakash needed a new cook. Okay. Now this rule also I have explained in the previous video. Please refer to the previous video. Now some other rules, change in tenses of reported speech. Now let us understand how does tense, present tense, or the tenses change. Okay, Present tense of direct speech. If it is a simple present, then corresponding past tense of the indirect speech. It will become a simple past. If it is a present continuous, it will become past continuous. If it is a present perfect, it will become past perfect. So that means the present tense of the direct speech, it changes into the corresponding past tense of indirect speech. Let us take some example. He said Prakash needs a new book. This is a direct speech. He said that Prakash needs become, it was a present. Remember, it was a present tense, simple present, it becomes simple past. Needed a new book. She said her brother is singing. He said her brother is singing. In this, you see, present continuous, isn't it? It is in present continuous. Then what will it become? He said her. So this is the speech inside the reporting speech, okay? He said her brother is singing a song. In indirect speech, it will become, he said that her brother was singing a song. The teacher said, I have taught you this lesson. This is a direct speech. And it will become, the teacher had said that she had taught them that lesson. This one is the example of present perfect changing to past perfect in indirect speech. Okay, please remember this table. Then all past tense of the direct speech are, how are they changed? Simple past, now this is a direct speech column and this is indirect speech column. Simple past will become past perfect. Past continuous will become past perfect continuous. But past perfect will not change. Okay, now let us understand with some example. He said, the teacher said the bell rang on time. Okay, now this is the example of simple past. The teacher said the bell rang on time. So what will become? The teacher said that the bell had rung on time. It will become had rung on time. What is it? It is past perfect. Remember, for perfect we add had. Okay. Now next sentence. We look at the next sentence. Sunita said to me, I was waiting for you. Now this is example of past continuous. Okay, because the verb is in continuous. See, Sunita said to me, I was waiting for you. Past continuous, it will become past perfect continuous. Sunita said to me that she had been. Past perfect continuous, or had been, it will become she had been waiting for me. Okay, past perfect continuous will become had been waiting for me. Now I told you that for past perfect we don't make any change. Okay, now let us look at this example. Arun said Rakesh had already gone. Had gone. This tells us that it is a past perfect sentence. The third one. Okay. The third category, it is a past perfect. So what will it be in the indirect speech? Also, it will remain the same. Arun said that Rakesh had already gone. There will be no change here. Okay, so I hope this examples are clear. Now all future tense of direct speech change into their helping verb as this. Will would change into would. Okay, will change into would. The shall changes into should, would or should. Okay, would is more common. Example, the teacher said some boys will stay back, and indirect it will become the teacher said that some boys would stay back. Okay, then the student said we shall go to the exhibition. In indirect speech it will become the student said that they would go to the exhibition. Okay, so this is the change in tenses in term when it is a future tense. Okay, indirect speech. Now there is one exception to rule number 2. Which is the rule number 2? I'll just refer back to it.
Okay, now let us look at this some exception. Okay, the exception to rule number 2, which There's an exception to rule number 2. What is the exception? Let us look at the exception here. If it is a universal, if the direct speech expresses a universal truth or a habitual fact, its tense remains unchanged. Right? Example, the teacher said the earth revolves around, here it is. The earth revolves around the sun. This is a universal truth. And the universal truth or habitual fact, the tense does not change. So, in indirect speech also it will remain that the teacher said that the earth revolves around the sun. Okay. Now, modal verbs are changed as follows. Modal verbs, how do they change? Will become would. Shall will become should. This should be should. Can will become could. May will become might. Okay, let us make that change here. Okay, so this is the how modal verbs will change. Indirect speech, if it is will, it will become would. If it is shall, it will become should. If it is can, it will become could in indirect speech, and if it is may, it will become might. Now, following modal verbs of direct speech do not change their forms in indirect speech. And what are they? Would, must. Now these does not change their form. Okay, should, have to, could, ought to, might, used to. These verbs of direct speech do not change their forms in indirect speech. Okay, now I will end today's class here, and in the next class I'm going to explain these modal verbs with some more examples. Okay, so I'll explain this with some more example in the next class. Today's learning outcome, mainly it is to grasp the rules for changing direct into indirect speech. And after this, I would want all of you to do a homework, and the homework will be given in the Google Classroom. Brain twister exercise A and B. Change sentences into indirect speech. A is that, and B is change these sentences into direct speech. So we will practice to convert direct sentences to indirect sentences and indirect sentences to direct sentences. Remember the rules. Please refer to the previous video also if you have any confusion regarding the definition of direct and indirect speech. Thank you.